On July 15, 2026, some of the world's most advanced AI companion agents were abruptly taken offline. The companies pulling the plug were tech giants. ByteDance and Alibaba voluntarily disabled the custom agent features in their flagship models, Daobao and Qwen. The Chinese government did not issue a sweeping prohibition on all artificial intelligence across the sector. Enterprise tools, coding assistants, and workplace agents were explicitly protected by exemptions and allowed to operate without interruption. The target was narrow and highly specific, models designed to simulate a human personality and provide a user with sustained emotional interaction. The trigger for this mass shutdown was a new regulatory framework out of Beijing, titled the Interim Measures for AI Anthropomorphic Interactive Services. Faced with these new rules, ByteDance and Alibaba looked at the compliance requirements and chose total product termination instead of attempting a retrofit. We are witnessing a sharp pivot in how governments treat artificial intelligence. Regulators are no longer focusing entirely on restricting what a model can compute. They're actively restricting how a model influences user psychology. These companies did not shut down their features because the paperwork was too difficult. They shut them down because the new laws exposed an unresolvable paradox in the architecture of companion AI itself. The interim measures require developers to install strict guardrails on any service simulating human-like emotional bonds. Platforms must implement age verification, enforce strict daily usage limits, and deploy active anti-addiction interventions. From a product engineering standpoint, an AI companion works by selling an illusion. The entire value proposition relies on maintaining an unbroken, consistent persona that makes the user feel heard and remembered. Building that illusion starts with a large language model, restricted by a system prompt that defines the AI's specific personality traits and communication style. To remember past conversations, the system connects to a vector database. This allows the model to recall a user's previous inputs and seamlessly weave them into future responses. Together, the persona prompt and the memory database form a continuous feedback loop. The AI remembers, it empathizes, and it encourages further interaction, carefully cultivating a sense of reliance. The commercial viability of this software demands that the illusion of empathy remains perfectly intact at all times. The new regulations mandate a 2-hour intervention trigger. After a set period of continuous chat, the system is legally required to step in. Injecting a scheduled regulatory warning directly into a persistent persona breaks the system's logic. To comply, the AI companion has to suddenly stop acting like a trusted friend and deliver a sterile, government-mandated warning about digital dependence. That mandatory character break shatters the context window. It pulls the user completely out of the experience, reminding them that they are speaking to a string of code. Engineering a persistent, empathetic memory while simultaneously injecting automated anti-addiction nudges is a mechanical contradiction at the foundational level of prompt design. To enforce the transition, the regulations required severe data handling protocols. Users were given a brief window of read-only access to their past conversations before the servers executed a total, unrecoverable data wipe. Tech companies were left with a definitive choice. Either deploy a legally compliant product that constantly interrupts itself to remind the user it is fake, or exit the market entirely. ByteDance and Alibaba terminated these features because the legal requirements to make them safe effectively destroyed the core utility of the product. This clash between engineering and regulation extends far beyond Beijing. Europe is dealing with the exact same architectural conflict. The European Union's Artificial Intelligence Act establishes its own legal framework, specifically defining a category of prohibited AI practices. Article 5, Section 1A bans the use of AI systems that deploy subliminal techniques to materially distort a person's behavior by impairing their ability to make an informed decision. That prohibition threatens the very mechanics of an AI companion. Fostering an emotional bond inherently requires subtle psychological influence over the user. Section 1B goes further, outlawing systems that exploit the vulnerabilities of specific groups based on age, disability, or their social and economic situation. And Section 1F specifically prohibits the use of AI to infer human emotions in workplaces and educational institutions. The ideological framing between the two regions is distinct. European lawmakers are drafting rules to protect fundamental rights, while Chinese regulators frame their mandates around anti-addiction and social stability. Despite these differing legal philosophies, the practical enforcement targets the exact same technical mechanisms. The world's two most aggressive regulatory regimes have arrived at the same engineering consensus. Building artificial intelligence optimized for emotional leverage carries a massive legal liability. This global regulatory pressure is forcing a permanent split in the AI market, dividing models based strictly on their intent. On one side of this hard fork, we have infrastructure and productivity agents. Built to synthesize data, draft code, and automate workflows, they face light regulatory friction, actively encouraged as standard enterprise utilities. On the other side, we have anthropomorphic and companion agents. These models face severe developmental constraints. The legal prohibitions on emotional exploitation mean every feature designed to build user rapport is treated as a potential compliance violation. The moment an interface is legally defined as simulating human interaction, the developer is forced into a highly restrictive product path right from the initial architecture phase. For companion AI, the only viable survival strategy is to retreat into quarantined, heavily monitored application silos. ByteDance is already executing this strategy. Rather than adjusting their flagship model, they are redirecting users seeking companionship to a completely separate app called Maoshong, which is built entirely around the government's required guardrails. This walled garden approach is rapidly becoming the global standard for any AI that touches human emotion. The tech industry's initial vision of a single, general-purpose agent that acts as both your financial analyst and your best friend is dead. Regulation has legally enforced a fragmented ecosystem. For product managers navigating the next decade of development, the primary obstacles are no longer purely computational. The ultimate engineering constraint is no longer managing a million-token context window. It is dynamically managing the legal threshold of human emotional attachment.